Hey everybody, I want to go over the tentative works cited list and introduction assignment that's due later this week, and I want to show you a sample. First of all, the goals of this assignment, first of all, are to help you prepare the works cited list for your essay. So when you have this assignment done, you will have an important piece of your essay done or nearly done as well. Also to show evidence of effective research, like your source analysis worksheets have been doing, but I still want to keep seeing that evidence. Careful reading and evaluating sources, and also this is the new part of the assignment here that I haven't seen in your worksheets. I want to see clear thinking about how you'll use your sources and how these sources are going to help you to serve this bigger purpose in your essay. Okay. Um, I want to emphasize that this assignment is called a tentative works cited list because the sources that you decided to use in your paper could change. So it's possible that you turn in this paper on the day of the deadline, and then the next day you find a couple new sources that you want to use. That's great. The works cited list that you submit for this assignment should represent where your research stands this week. It's okay if it evolves. So I want to take a look at the assignment itself. Well, let's start by looking at a sample, actually. This is a former student of mine who had the same assignment. Notice she's using a formal assignment heading here. Everything's double spaced. She's got a nice, concise title, not her whole research question, plus this colon and the tentative works cited list. So that way we can tell that this isn't the first page of the essay. I like how she starts off by telling us what she will be doing in her essay to remind her readers of her bigger purpose here. This is a pretty interesting paper the student wrote. In this essay, I will answer the question of how someone's physical appearance, specifically a person's attractiveness, impacts individuals in their workplace. In order to show my readers how attractiveness impacts individuals in their career, I will use statistics and quotes from the article, Does Attractiveness and Appearance Equate to Leadership and Career Success by Anurag Harsh, and from the article Looks Matter in the Workplace by Laura Morsch. See what she's doing here? She's showing how two different articles are going to be in conversation together to serve this big purpose in her essay. That's what I want to see. After discussing how someone's attractiveness can have positive impacts, such as greater earnings, I will discuss the negative aspects of being impacted by one's appearance in the workplace. I will use the article blah, blah, blah to do this. And then she goes on to talk about how a couple of articles will help her explain the problems that may arise. So notice the kind of thinking that she's doing in this paper. She's kind of thinking through the larger sections of what her paper will do and thinking about what sources will help her in that. Okay. She concludes by talking about what she still wants to research. That's okay. You don't have to do that, but she's got a nice little wrap up here. This introduction looks like it's about 300 words long. You should write at least 200, but closer to 300 is probably good. Notice how she doesn't need to quote anybody. This is written in her words, except for where she's providing the names of the titles of the articles. Now, here is her tentative works cited list. All the MLD details are really good. Notice how she's got everything listed in alphabetical order according to the author's last name. This week, there's another video that I want you to watch about formatting your works cited list, and I go over some of these itty bitty details. And I would like you to think about those details when you're writing your own list. Here, because she's formatting her works cited list correctly, I can tell that this I can tell that this third source here is an online newspaper article, but I can tell that the second source, because of the kinds of details that she's provided, is a journal article, a scholarly journal article located from a database. Okay, so formatting the little details does help your readers evaluate your sources and show that you've met the source requirements. Okay. So let's take a look at the actual assignment here. Please read this over more carefully. I want to emphasize that the requirements are to have the introduction and to have a working draft of your works cited list. I want you to use MLA form correctly. And I want you to have at least 5 written sources in this article that you have actually read at this point. and that you plan to use. Now, if you are planning at this point to use many more than 5 sources, or even a few more, I'll leave it up to you whether you want to include more than 5 in this works cited list. It's okay if you just want to include your best 5 for now. In addition to 5 minimum sources, of those sources, at least 1 must be a scholarly journal article, and at least 2 must be located through OneSearch. Okay, so the scholarly journal article might also be one of the OneSearch sources. Again, these are bare minimums. Here's the deadline. All right, so the intro, as I mentioned, should be 200 to 300 words, and it should summarize your current plans for your 5 sources. After your introduction, you'll provide your tentative works cited list, and you'll follow MLA guidelines. Again, there's another video I want you to watch that explains what those are, and there are plenty of resources for you about MLA citation. Again, so far in your works cited list, I have told you that I'm not going to be picky about the little details in your format, as long as you have citations in your list for every source you cited in the essay. But now we're stepping up our standards here, and I want to see you attempt to use MLA form correctly. Again, these details matter, and I explain them more in the other video. Let me show you real quickly, though, where you can find some of these assignments. If we go to content in our class D2L shell, in the Nuts and Bolts Reading Guide, I explain this information on pages 7 through 9, how to write your works cited list. Okay, the page that might be most relevant to you is page 9, where I explain what different kinds of formats for different kinds of sources will look like. Okay, also in D2L, there is a whole module on ethical source use. I've already referred you to a couple of the sources that I've provided there. And within that module is a submodule on works cited lists, and I've provided some information there. You also probably already are familiar with different kinds of tools that you can use to format your works cited list. You are welcome to use those. Okay. So do your best to format those correctly, paying attention to the itty-bitty details, or the brown M&Ms. I'll explain the brown M&Ms story in the other video this week on works cited pages. Okay, even though those details might seem very trivial, they're important to readers. I should clarify that they're not as important as the bigger picture. So if you get a comma wrong, if you forget to italicize something, if everything else is in place, you can still do really, really well on this assignment. But I still want you to strive to get those details right if you can. All right, so I'll grade you on the quality of your introduction. Obviously, is it well written? Is it informative? Does it do what you're supposed to do? And also on the number, quality, and variety of your sources. Do you have at least 5? Do they meet the requirements I've talked about? And then finally, correct format. The assignment is worth 25 points, which is only half the weight of your exploratory papers. It's not as important as those other assignments, but it is a useful step in your paper because, like I said, it'll help you get your works cited list underway, and it'll help you start to think about what you want your paper to do and how your sources will help you do that. So please take this step seriously. The rubric is on this page, and I'm not going to read through this. It echoes what I've already said, but you should read it over. I've got one more sample here that I made up at the bottom of the page that sort of gives you an example of what I want your introduction to do. As always, if you have any questions at all, you should reach out to me. I'm happy to explain this assignment more clearly to you or answer any questions that you have about it. I hope that you find it a useful step in getting your ideas together.